Hi there, everybody. I'm still doing my X-Men reviews. Today we're doing X-Men The Last Stand, X3 as some people call it, or so I'm told. Again, I'm watching these all practically back to back, like a day or two apart at the most. And I'm not really watching reviews until like it's time for me to do my review, and I gotta like refresh my brain. And for some reason, I thought that this was like the X-Men that everyone liked. I thought this was like the best one. No, people, I just watched a bunch of people shit on this movie. But I'm gonna have to disagree. I Out of the trio, X1, 2, and 3, I think X-Men The Last Stand is the best one. Now, before I get burned at the stake for this, let me come in and talk about it. I don't think any of these movies are that good. I'm not invested in the characters like that. I don't think the first movie was anything special. X2, like, I thought was a solid good movie, but I wasn't like blown away or anything. And then The Last Stand is more of that. There's a lot more things happening in this one. It ends with this big action set piece, and I don't really understand what a lot of people were complaining about. I think the way it handled a lot of characters was great. For instance, I never gave a fuck about Cyclops, and if you're not using a character effectively, and if you can get them killed and actually make it worth something, kill them. They spent maybe 2 scenes with Cyclops, and he's fucking dead. And off of the last movie, I was really upset that Jean died, and then I could see she's in the next movie. I was like, oh, that's dumb. But I was like, oh, she's coming back as the villain. I didn't know anything about the Dark Phoenix or anything about any of that nonsense. But I popped this on, and I was like, oh, Jean's the bad guy. And she slips into this role so much better. I liked her. I actually enjoyed her character quite a bit. It doesn't like really hit it hard. Like they go back to her house and her like childhood house, and they don't really use it super effectively. She's kind of just like evil witch character, and the real Jean inside her is trying to bubble to the surface. So it's like a conflicting. She's kind of just looking like confused and upset. A lot of the time, she's kind of like ah, but the majority of the time it works. At least for me. Storm, she had more things to do. We introduced Beast. I fucking love Beast, man. Beast is so fucking awesome. And he's only in this one. He looks perfect. He's literally jumping around like a monkey and just tearing shit up. It's great. And then he's like super smart. He's like a politician now. Without this movie, you wouldn't have that. That's awesome. I love that. A lot of the other characters, like right when I was like, oh, the teenage characters are finally old enough to be adults and stuff. It's like, no, there's a bunch of new teenagers. We have Judo and a couple other ones. What's her name? She's somewhere in there with the silver streak. Yeah, we're still focusing on her. A lot of characters I don't care about are still getting screen time. You have the angel guy. I think he was in the movie for like 5 minutes. I don't know why he's on so much of the cover space. So whatever. But you still have a lot of Charles and a lot of Magneto. Magneto kind of feels more like a Saturday morning cartoon villain, you know? He isn't like super maniacal. He's kind of just giving he's kind of big bad speeches. Giving a lot of one-liners, but he's fun. Uh it's resting a lot on how cool he was in the other movies, but like I still love Magneto. Xavier, spoilers by the way, Magneto dies in this one, or Magneto, Charles Xavier dies in this one, and I did not see that coming even a little bit. Even as it was happening, I was like, they're not going to kill Xavier, and then they do. And again, because I don't really know where the franchise goes from here. I know that they kind of rebooted, but I know I've seen pictures, and the Logan Xavier, that version of Xavier is in Logan, so I'm like very confused by it all. But I'll update you as I watch these movies. But Xavier gets this really emotional last scene, and yeah, again, if you don't have anything new for a character, you fully explored them. If you can get a good death out of them and make it worthwhile, and it's not out of nowhere and it feels right, do it. That's what they did. A lot of characters die in this one, and I'm all about it. I I'm all for how they handled most of these characters. Even Wolverine, Hugh Jackman. The past two movies, I've kind of been making fun of him. I'm just not. I don't really care about him. He's doesn't do anything all that interesting in any of these movies. I don't understand people's fascination with the guy. I don't think he looks cool. His powers, it's all adaptation, so I can't really be like, oh, they had a really cool idea. No, and he's just acting like a cool bro majority of the movies, and this is the first time where he had some kind of exploration that I found at least somewhat interesting, in the fact that he still loves Jean and she comes back to life, and he unfortunately goes against Charles' will to bring her back, and then that creates the Dark Phoenix, and that confliction in his eyes when that happens, and the eye to eye he had with Xavier at the end, like you could tell the regret and the emotion behind Wolverine, and that might have been explored in X4 somewhere in an alternate universe, but even just for this movie, that little bit hit me harder. I also much more enjoyed the idea of a cure. All the other films, it's just like, oh, X-Men, they're immigrants, they're minorities, comparisons. That, not to say that that's not important or whatever, but that's been done in a million movies, a million different stories. Prosecution via the higher powers that be. I've seen it a million times. You're gonna have to do something a little bit more unique to like really hit those story beats. This, the idea of a cure and like what actually makes you. Is your power a part of you, or is it just like something that can be cleared away? Like, can you just, is your bad vision, is like you before you take medication, is that the real you, or is it you after you've modified yourself? Because that's something in our day and age that we chemically modify ourselves, and then we're like still acting like as if nothing happened. And this film explores that. There's a character who basically can negate your powers just by being near them, and they use that for a cure. Perfect motivation for Magneto to step up, and then there's this big clash at the end. Obviously, evil politicians, but well, are they being evil? A lot of mutants want the cure, and some they're being called a coward. But like, that's, at what point are they a coward? At what point are they on the right side? Like that division is like something like that gets me thinking. It's not just, oh, obviously mutants are good, evil people are bad. There's actually like a line that you don't know where it stands, and that's much more interesting to me. And like I said, the characters use much better. The goofy action, all the things I'm complaining about in this movie, because I do have plenty of complaints for this movie. They're still wearing these stupid fucking outfits. These like, I don't like whatever Wolverine's wearing here. Angel Boy, I guess he's the one nitpick. Oh, and Juggernaut. Juggernaut was cheesy as hell. But again, all these movies have been super cheesy to me. Everything I complain about with this one was in the other films, and if not worse in the other films. It's juggling a little bit too much. It doesn't seem to respect some of its characters, but I don't really respect those characters either, so I don't really care if you kill them off without that much fanfare. If anything, the way the finale happened with Dark Phoenix and Wolverine, and him having to like do what he doesn't want to do and kill her, and you could tell that she let him, that was way more impactful than anything that happened in the first movie, personally. And oh, the moment with Mystique and Magneto, you can't tell me that didn't hurt a little bit when Mystique loses her powers and Magneto like gives her maybe a couple moments of pity and then goes on, because that's some Magneto shit right there. That's what I love about the guy. And so yeah, you introduce Beast and have all these really interesting characters being juggled around. The locations, we're actually going from the school to big battle, Jean's house, the little water area where she kills Cyclops. Yeah, I just was much more engaged with this one, and I don't think the problems in this one aren't equally, if not worse, than the other films. I don't really get what people are complaining about, but that's just me. I'm gonna give this one like a really strong 7. Yeah, a strong 7, if not a light 8. On Letterboxd, it says I gave it a light 8, so I'm gonna stick to that. I'm giving X-Men: The Last Stand a light, like the really most small 8 out of 10 I can give. And that's what I thought about this one. Let me know your thoughts down below, and until next time, with that, I leave you.